Discipline is doing what must be done, whether you feel like it or not. That's the hard truth most people try to escape. But it's also the very thing that decides whether you succeed or stay stuck. If you wait until you feel ready, you'll never start. If you rely on motivation, you'll always fall short. Discipline is not a choice you make only on good days. It's a decision you make every single day, especially when it feels hardest. Think about it. How many opportunities slipped away because you delayed? How many times did comfort steal progress from you? This isn't theory. This is reality. The battle is not with the world outside, it's with yourself, in the moments when excuses shout the loudest. If you can learn to force yourself into discipline, you can rewrite your entire life. Chapter 1. Confront laziness. No deals, no negotiation. Discipline doesn't magically arrive one morning. You don't stumble into it. You create it by facing laziness head-on and refusing to compromise. Laziness is sly. It shows up in many forms: lying in bed when you know you should get up, scrolling endlessly when you should be working, eating when you're not hungry, or filling your day with tasks that feel busy but don't move you forward. That's how it wins, by convincing you that comfort equals progress. But here's the truth. Growth only happens in discomfort. Progress is always found where things are hardest: when you sweat, when you struggle, when you focus. That's where discipline is forged. Every time you give laziness an inch, it takes everything. Skip a workout today, and you're not just skipping exercise, you're teaching your mind that comfort is more important than commitment. Choose later over now, and you're teaching yourself to procrastinate. Laziness doesn't run out of excuses, it always has one ready, which means you must stop negotiating altogether. Your enemy isn't lack of knowledge or lack of opportunity. It's the habit of waiting. Waiting for the right time. Waiting until you feel it. Waiting for conditions to be perfect. But those conditions never come. The right time doesn't exist. Every time you surrender to excuses, I worked hard yesterday, I deserve a break, or one skipped day won't matter, you're not resting. You're training yourself to give up. Those thoughts are chains that keep you trapped at the same level. And if you don't break them, you'll stay there for life. The people you admire aren't superhuman. They aren't luckier than you. They simply stopped bargaining with laziness. They built strength by refusing excuses, by acting when they didn't feel like it. That's their secret. And it's not glamorous, it's just the power to say no to weakness and yes to action. Discipline isn't punishment, it's respect. Respect for your future, for your goals, for yourself. Every time you choose discipline over laziness, you're saying, my future matters, my goals matter, I matter. Laziness never disappears. It will knock on your door tomorrow and the day after. But every time you deny it, you strip it of power. Every small victory builds discipline. Over time, discipline stops being something you do. It becomes who you are. The turning point is always the same: the moment you stop negotiating. It's not easy. Your body will resist, your mind will argue, excuses will multiply, but those very moments, when it's hardest, are the birthplace of strength. So ask yourself, what have you been putting off? Where has laziness been winning? Health, work, learning? Whatever it is, understand this. Laziness is costing you time, and time never comes back. How do you fight back? Start small. Pick one task you've been avoiding and do it right now. Don't think, don't argue, just act. That single victory cracks the cycle, and once you crack it once, you can break it again and again until laziness has no ground left to stand on. With each win, you don't just make progress, you build trust in yourself. You know you'll show up. You know you won't fold. That self-trust is priceless. It changes everything. There will always be people saying, I can't, it's too hard, I'll start later. Don't be one of them. Be the person who acts now, who refuses comfort, who rejects excuses. That's the person who earns freedom, growth, and success. So remember, the next time laziness whispers, don't listen. The next time it offers comfort, don't take the deal. Stand up. Take action. Build strength one choice at a time. Because the moment you stop negotiating with laziness, that is the moment discipline begins. And discipline is the path that transforms everything. Chapter 2. Train yourself to act instantly. Discipline doesn't arrive in giant leaps. It doesn't suddenly appear after one big decision. It's built step by step through small actions taken in the very moment they are needed. Every time you delay even for a few seconds, you weaken your ability to respond. The key to discipline is learning to act immediately. The thought comes and you move. No hesitation, no debate, no deals with yourself. Those instant decisions train your mind and body to respond without delay. Over time, this habit becomes a core strength that touches every part of your life. Think about how often hesitation has stolen progress from you. You felt like exercising, but rested a little longer, and the workout never happened. You needed to make a call, but said, "I'll do it later," and later never came. You thought of writing something down, but postponed it, only to forget it completely. In the moment, those pauses don't seem destructive, but they are. They quietly teach your brain that hesitation is acceptable, and every time you accept hesitation, discipline grows weaker. Now picture the opposite. You think of drinking water, so you drink it. You remember a task, so you do it right then. You feel like reading, so you open the book immediately. That pattern builds something powerful, the ability to respond instantly. It kills procrastination before it has a chance to grow. It shuts down laziness before it takes over. And it gives you control over yourself. Your brain is quick at making excuses. Within seconds of thinking about something difficult, it creates reasons not to move. You're tired. Do it later. It's not urgent. But those arguments only exist if you give them time. Act immediately and the excuses never form. That's why small, instant actions are more valuable than big, delayed ones. You don't need to start with huge challenges. Begin with simple rules. When the alarm rings, stand up immediately. No snooze, no scrolling. When you remember a task, do it on the spot, even if it takes just 30 seconds. Each small action sends a powerful message. I am someone who acts, not someone who waits. Discipline isn't about chasing massive goals. It's about proving to yourself that your actions follow your decisions. When you decide to do something but don't follow through, you train yourself to doubt your own word. But when you act instantly, you build trust in yourself. That trust creates confidence. Confidence builds consistency, and consistency is the foundation of discipline. You might think tiny actions don't matter, but they do. They're the seeds of transformation. Picking up a book today is the same discipline that helps you start a business tomorrow. Standing up when the alarm rings is the same discipline that helps you push through pressure at work. Skip the small steps, and you skip the training ground for the big ones. Here's a tool, the 3-2-1 rule. When you think of something important, count down, 3, 2, 1, and move. Don't give the thought time to sit. This simple countdown removes hesitation and builds a new reflex. Action first. Over time, you won't even need to count. You'll move automatically. That's what real discipline feels like. Not forced effort, but trained instinct. Feelings don't decide. Training does. Here's the truth. You won't always feel like acting instantly. Some days, even small tasks will feel heavy. But that's the point. Discipline isn't about making life easy. It's about building a mind that acts regardless of feelings. Feelings are temporary. One day you're motivated, the next you're not. If you depend on feelings, your life will be inconsistent. But if you depend on trained response, your life will be disciplined. Look at people who achieve consistency. They don't wait for inspiration. They've trained themselves to act as soon as the decision is made. That's why they succeed. They aren't perfect, but they don't delay. Discipline isn't perfection. It's consistency. And consistency begins with one thing: acting without delay. True consistency is impossible without quick action. Waiting doesn't just waste minutes, it slowly erodes your self-respect. Every time you hesitate, you carry a small weight of regret. You know you should have acted, but you didn't. That small regret grows into frustration, and if repeated too often, frustration transforms into self-doubt. This is the dangerous cycle hesitation creates. But when you act right away, even on something small, you feel a surge of pride. That pride feeds motivation. Motivation makes the next move easier. Soon your days fill with momentum instead of regret. Discipline isn't a natural talent. It's a choice made again and again until it becomes second nature. And the strongest way to train that choice is through immediate action. The key is to move before your brain has time to build excuses. When resistance shows up, step into it quickly before it strengthens. Every instant response is proof that you're stronger than hesitation. The best part? This practice is available to anyone. You don't need money, tools, or special skills. You only need the willingness to act at the moment the thought arises. At first, it may feel uncomfortable. By the 10th time, it feels easier. By the 100th time, it feels automatic. That's how habit is built, through repetition of instant action. Remember this. Everyone has the same 24 hours. Some people build disciplined, productive lives. Others drift and waste their days. The difference isn't time, it's response. Some people act immediately, others wait. Which group do you want to belong to? The answer lies in the split second when a decision enters your mind. If you want a stronger future, stop handing power to hesitation. Start honoring your thoughts with action. When you feel the urge to move, move. When a task appears, handle it. When faced with the choice to delay or to act, always choose to act. Those small choices, repeated, shape who you become. A disciplined life is built in the present moment. Not tomorrow, not someday, but right now. Instant response becomes your defense against procrastination, laziness, and wasted time. It becomes your tool for focus, strength, and steady growth. When you decide to act instantly, you declare to yourself, "My future matters more than my comfort." Excuses no longer rule me. I am in control. That message, reinforced through countless small actions, transforms everything. So the next time a decision sparks in your mind, don't wait. Don't hesitate. Don't bargain with yourself. Act. Move. Respond. Because the life you want is waiting, but only for the one who learns to move without delay. Chapter 3. Control your thoughts before they control your decisions. The greatest battles of discipline are fought not outside, but inside the mind. Every action begins as a thought, and every decision is shaped by the quality of your thinking. If you don't learn to manage your thoughts, your life will be ruled by impulses, emotions, and distortions. But when you gain control of your inner world, you position yourself to make clearer, stronger, wiser choices. Real discipline starts with mastering your mind. Most people don't realize just how deeply their thoughts shape their lives. They assume actions exist on their own, separate from the mind. But the truth is this: every action is simply the outflow of the thoughts you allow to stay. Consider it. The person who constantly repeats, "I'll never improve," eventually gives up trying. The one who thinks, "I'll fail anyway," often won't even start. Thoughts are not harmless. They are the seeds from which decisions grow. And every decision plants the future you are walking into. This is why mastering your thoughts is the foundation of discipline. When you drift through life unaware of your thinking, your mind becomes fertile ground for negativity. One negative thought sparks another, and soon you are filled with doubt, excuses, or fear. You convince yourself you are too tired, not capable, or that the effort isn't worth it. Left unchecked, these thoughts shape your behavior. At first, you don't notice. Then slowly you avoid challenges. You start settling for less. And over time, your life becomes a mirror of weak thinking. The good news is that you are not powerless. You can reclaim control by training your mind the same way you train your body. Think of it like food. You don't eat everything that's placed in front of you. You make choices because you know what you consume affects your health. In the same way, you must filter your thoughts. Some deserve your focus, others must be discarded. This practice is the discipline of thought management. The first step is awareness. Too many people live on autopilot, accepting their thoughts as truth. But most thoughts are not facts. They are interpretations, opinions, or echoes of old experiences. To take control, you must pause and ask, what am I thinking right now? Does this move me forward or hold me back? Does it strengthen discipline or weaken it? The moment you ask, you create distance between yourself and the thought, which gives you power over it. The second step is replacement. You cannot simply delete a thought. The mind does not function in emptiness. To remove a destructive thought, you must replace it with a constructive one. If your mind whispers, "I can't do this," you counter with, "I may struggle, but I can learn and improve." If you think, "I don't feel like starting," you replace it with, "I'll begin now because starting creates momentum." Replacement isn't about faking positivity. It's about steering your mind towards strength rather than weakness. The third step is guarding your input. What you feed your mind daily determines the quality of your thoughts. The news you consume, the people you spend time with, the conversations you engage in, all leave an imprint. Spend too much time with complainers, and soon you think in complaints. Fill your hours with constant distraction, and your mind drifts toward comfort instead of growth. Controlling your thoughts also means controlling your environment, because your environment is constantly shaping your inner world. Everything that enters your mind leaves a mark, whether it's the news you consume, the conversations you join, or the people you spend time with. Surround yourself with constant negativity, and you'll soon think in the same pattern. Spend your days lost in comfort and entertainment, and your thoughts will drift away from growth. This is why controlling your thoughts also means controlling your environment. If you want discipline, you must deliberately fill your mind with clarity, focus, and direction. One of the strongest tools for this is reflection. Each day, pause and ask yourself, did my thoughts move me toward my goals or pull me away? Where did negativity influence me? Where did I win the battle in my mind? Reflection sharpens awareness. The more you practice it, the quicker you catch harmful patterns before they take root. Understand this. Emotions often follow thoughts. If your thinking is chaotic, your feelings will be unstable. You'll feel discouraged, anxious, or overwhelmed, not because of circumstances, but because of how you interpret them. But when you discipline your thoughts, your emotions stabilize. You feel capable, steady, and in control. From that emotional strength, your decisions improve. Another key is challenging irrational thoughts. Your mind often exaggerates reality, telling you the task is too big, that you don't have enough time, or that failure is certain. But those are fears, not facts. The truth is tasks can be broken into steps. You may not feel ready, but you can begin with what you have. Failure is possible, yes, but so is success. Discipline grows when you confront fear with truth. This doesn't mean ignoring difficulty. Life will always test you. The difference lies in how you frame it. The undisciplined mind says, "This is too hard, I won't try." The disciplined mind says, "This is hard, but I'll take it one step at a time." Same situation, two different thoughts. Completely different outcomes. The way to practice this is in small daily moments. Notice what you think when the alarm rings, when a hard task appears, or when you feel tempted to procrastinate. Then replace those thoughts instantly. Instead of 5 more minutes, say, "Getting up now makes me stronger." Instead of "I'll do it later," say, "Starting now builds my discipline." Instead of "This is too much," say, "I'll take the first step." Little by little, your mind learns to work for you instead of against you. Over time, as you win more of these inner battles, you begin to trust yourself. You feel a quiet strength, a freedom from being ruled by impulses or distractions. You live with intention, and that is the essence of discipline, choosing your response rather than reacting blindly. People often mistake discipline for restriction, but in truth, it is freedom. When your mind is clear and directed, you are free from chaos, free from hesitation, free to decide your own path. That freedom fuels consistency, resilience, and peace, even when life is difficult. The difference between those who stay stuck and those who grow is simple. The stuck allow their thoughts to rule them. The growing take command of their inner dialogue. They choose thoughts that strengthen, not weaken, and their actions naturally rise to a higher standard. From this moment forward, treat every thought as a visitor at the door of your mind. Some you welcome because they bring value. Others you send away because they bring harm. The choice is always yours. Exercise that choice daily, and discipline becomes more than an act. It becomes your way of life. Do not wait until your thoughts drag you into poor decisions. Take command at the very beginning. Guide your thoughts before they take control of you. Swap hesitation for action, weakness for strength, and doubt for determination. This is how you claim ownership of your choices. This is how discipline is forged, the discipline that will carry you toward every goal you set. Chapter 4. Train your brain. Through repetition, human behavior runs on patterns. Whatever you repeat, your brain eventually accepts as normal, whether it is helpful or harmful. Procrastination becomes natural when practiced often. Excuses become automatic when repeated. But so does strength. The key to discipline is rewiring the brain through deliberate repetition, performing the action over and over until it feels second nature. At first, the effort feels strange, even uncomfortable. But repetition reshapes your brain's sense of normal. Think about the first time you tried something hard. Working out, waking up early, speaking to a crowd. The beginning felt heavy and awkward. Yet, as you repeated it, the weight eased. The activity became less foreign until one day it was simply routine. The task didn't change. Your brain did. Most people give up before this shift takes place. They try something new, feel the discomfort, and decide it isn't for them. They expect discipline to feel natural instantly, but nothing does. Walking once felt impossible. Reading once felt overwhelming. Driving once felt terrifying. You overcame these only because you repeated them until your brain adapted. The same principle applies to every new habit. Discipline grows when you push past the resistance and keep going. That resistance isn't a sign to quit. It's proof your brain is in the process of changing. Stop too soon and you reinforce the resistance. Keep repeating and you break through it. Repetition works through consistency, not intensity. A single huge effort changes nothing if it's not repeated. Small, steady actions reshape the brain. 2 pages of reading every day beats 100 pages once a month. Moving your body daily is more powerful than one intense workout followed by weeks of rest. The brain learns rhythm, not bursts. You must also release the desire for instant transformation. Change doesn't come after 1 or 2 tries. It comes after dozens, sometimes hundreds of repetitions. The middle stage, the stage where it feels awkward and progress is invisible, is where most people quit. But this stage is the real test. Discipline is doing the work even when results haven't shown up yet. Think of planting a seed. If you dig it up every day to check for growth, it will never take root. Habits are the same. Stop repeating too early and nothing solidifies. Keep going long enough and the roots grow deep until the action becomes part of your identity. Repetition also builds proof. Each time you act with discipline, you give yourself evidence that you can. One push-up is not just exercise, it's a message to your brain that you are capable. Each repetition strengthens not just the habit, but your belief in yourself. One push-up proves you are capable of moving. Writing for just one day proves you can create. Managing your schedule for one day proves you can take charge of your time. Each repetition is proof, chipping away at doubt and building belief. Over time, that belief grows so strong that the behavior no longer feels forced. It becomes part of who you are. There will be days when repetition feels dull or exhausting. That's normal. But those moments are when the greatest change is happening. Every time you continue despite boredom or fatigue, you deepen the grooves in your brain. The deeper the groove, the easier the behavior becomes. Quitting erases progress, but persisting locks it in. This is why persistence matters more than motivation. Motivation fades. Persistence, built through repetition, creates discipline. One simple way to make repetition stick is to anchor it to something you already do. If you want to practice gratitude, jot down 3 things you're thankful for right after brushing your teeth. If you want to exercise, do a few push-ups after pouring your morning glass of water. When you tie a new action to an old routine, you create a natural trigger that makes repeating easier. Celebrate every repetition, not just the final result. Most people wait to reward themselves after hitting big milestones. But the real victory is showing up. Every repetition is a win. Acknowledging that strengthens the habit and makes your brain more willing to repeat it. Repetition also brings monotony, and that can feel uncomfortable. Your brain craves variety, but variety doesn't build discipline. Repetition does. You have to embrace the uneventful days. Those boring days are the ones that rewire you the most. When you can keep going without needing excitement, you prove to yourself that you're serious. That seriousness is what separates those who succeed from those who give up. Think about it. Every habit you already have was shaped by repetition. The way you talk, walk, react to stress, it's all the result of repeated patterns. If repetition created your old habits, it can create new ones too. The real question isn't whether repetition works. It always works. The question is whether you'll repeat long enough for your brain to accept it. At first you say, I'm trying to be disciplined, but after enough repetition, it shifts to, I am disciplined. That change isn't just in words, it's in your identity. You stop reminding yourself every day and simply live it. But the only path to that transformation is consistent repetition, forced through discomfort until it becomes automatic. If you want proof, test it. Pick one small action and repeat it daily for 30 days without missing. Write a paragraph, drink an extra glass of water, or turn off your phone before bed. Push through the resistance. By the end of 30 days, it will feel more natural. Do it for 60 days, and it will feel harder not to do it than to do it. That's the true power of repetition. You shift your brain's default setting. Most people never change not because they lack ability, but because they lack patience. They expect instant transformation, but repetition is the shortcut. It feels slow, but it's the fastest route to lasting change. Once your brain accepts a new behavior, you stop fighting yourself. Progress becomes natural, not forced. That's real freedom. Discipline is not some mystery. It's the byproduct of repeated action until your brain adjusts. At first you carry the habit, then the habit carries you. And when that happens, you no longer rely on fragile willpower. You rely on identity, on who you've become. That transformation is possible for anyone who is willing to keep repeating until it sticks. Do not quit just because it feels awkward. Do not give up when boredom sets in. Do not stop because results aren't instant. Keep repeating. Keep forcing the action until it no longer feels like effort. Until it becomes part of who you are. That is how discipline is built. That is how lives transform. And that is the path for anyone willing to persist until the brain accepts a new way of living. Chapter 5. Replace negative self-talk with strict self-direction. The words you speak to yourself shape your discipline more than anything else. Every phrase in your head either builds strength or feeds weakness. If your inner voice is filled with excuses, fear, and doubt, your behavior will reflect it. You cannot expect to live a disciplined life while allowing destructive self-talk to guide your decisions. Discipline begins when you take control of your inner language. You must stop treating yourself like a critic who tears you down and start speaking like a commander who gives orders. Negative self-talk often creeps in quietly. It says, "You're not ready." It reminds you of failures. It whispers, "This is too hard." Most people let these thoughts run unchecked, not realizing that agreeing with them programs their future. If you keep telling yourself you are weak, you will live weak. If you keep telling yourself change is impossible, you will never change. The mind follows the words it hears most often, especially when they come from you. Strict self-direction is the cure. It means deliberately guiding your thoughts with clarity and authority. Instead of allowing doubt to linger, you replace it with commands. I will act now. Instead of vague intentions like, maybe I should do this, you declare, I must do this now. Vague language leads to hesitation. Clear direction leads to action. The tone you use with yourself matters. Speak in a commanding voice, not a questioning one. Discipline thrives on direction, and you are the one responsible for giving that direction. The first step is recognition. Most people are unaware of how much destructive language they repeat daily. I'm too tired. I'm not smart enough. I'll never succeed. These phrases become so normal, they feel harmless, but they are not. They are shaping your behavior. Once you recognize them, you can interrupt them. The second step is replacement. When you catch yourself thinking something weak, don't leave a gap for that thought to return. Replace it with strict direction. If you say, I can't do this, replace it with, I will complete one step right now. If you say, I'm too lazy, replace it with, I will stand up and move immediately. That shift transforms destructive energy into immediate action. Over time, your brain accepts the new commands as its default. Precision is also critical. General encouragement is not enough. Do not just say, I can do it. Instead, give yourself exact instructions. Write one page now, turn off the phone, walk for 10 minutes. Specific direction leaves no space for excuses. Negative talk thrives on vagueness. Strict direction crushes it with clarity. And remember, strict self-direction requires firmness. You cannot whisper soft orders to yourself and expect strong results. When your mind complains, I don't feel like it, your response must be immediate and firm. Do it now. You are not bargaining with yourself. You are leading yourself. Just as a coach demands effort from an athlete, you must demand it from yourself. If you treat your own words lightly, your actions will be weak. If you speak with authority, your actions will follow with strength. At first, resistance will come. The negative voice will push back, reminding you of every past failure. But each time you replace it, that voice grows weaker. And each time you give yourself strict direction, your discipline grows stronger. The voice of firm direction grows stronger with repetition. Soon it becomes the dominant voice in your mind. You begin to trust it because it no longer carries excuses. It carries authority. And with that authority comes confidence. But here's what you must understand. Negative self-talk doesn't always sound harsh. Often it sneaks in disguised as kindness. It whispers that you've earned rest when you haven't yet worked. It convinces you that taking it easy just for today won't matter. It promises that tomorrow will be a better day to start. These thoughts feel comforting, but they are deceptive traps. They don't lift you up. They keep you stuck. Strict self-direction cuts through that comfort with truth. It reminds you, rest is earned, not gifted. Tomorrow will only improve if you take action today. That is how you protect yourself from the soft lies that weaken discipline. Your environment also shapes your self-talk. If you surround yourself with people who constantly complain or lower their standards, their words will echo inside you. You will find their negativity becoming your own. That is why you must choose your circle wisely. Stay close to people whose language is sharp, clear, and driven. Their mindset will rub off on you, and your own inner dialogue will rise to meet it. One practical way to reprogram your mind is simple. Write down your most common excuses. See them clearly on paper. Then, next to each excuse, write the direct command that replaces it. I'm too tired. I will start for 5 minutes no matter what. I'll never succeed. I will practice daily until I improve. Read these commands often until they become automatic. Then, when the old excuse tries to return, you already have the new order waiting. Strict self-direction is not cruelty, it is honesty. Negative talk weakens you because it hides the truth. It exaggerates your limits and blinds you to your strength. Direction, on the other hand, gives you clarity. It reminds you, you may not feel ready, but you can act. You may not have results yet, but results come through repetition. You may not feel comfortable, but you are strong enough to keep going. This truth may sting, but it builds the foundation for real discipline. The goal is to build a voice you trust completely, a voice that does not excuse, delay, or lower standards, a voice that speaks with clarity, firmness, and authority. Once that voice is established, you no longer need to rely on fleeting motivation or bursts of inspiration. Your own words will move you forward every day. Over time, you'll notice the transformation. The voice of doubt fades. The voice of direction takes its place. You will wake and hear, "Stand up now." You will face resistance and hear, "Start immediately." You will hit a challenge and hear, "Do not stop until it's done." That inner dialogue will guide you like a strong leader who always demands growth. Every disciplined person you admire has built this voice. They didn't silence negativity by accident. They replaced it deliberately every day until it became natural. You can do the same. It requires awareness, replacement, precision, firmness. It requires practice, daily and without compromise. But once built, this voice will never fail you. From this day on, decide that your inner dialogue will serve you, not sabotage you. Do not give space to weakness. Replace every excuse with a command. Speak to yourself like a leader, not a victim. Direct yourself toward action with clarity and authority. Because the words you repeat each day are not just words, they are shaping the discipline that defines your future. Chapter 6. Use pressure to act when comfort pulls you back. Comfort is one of the biggest enemies of discipline. It feels safe, pleasant, familiar. But that very familiarity can quietly pull you away from progress. Comfort whispers, "Take it easy. Delay the hard work. Relax just a little longer." At first it seems harmless, but over time it saps your drive and lowers your standards. The only way to overcome comfort is through pressure, creating conditions that force action when your mind and body would rather stay idle. Without pressure, comfort always wins. With pressure, you push past it. Pressure is not the enemy. In fact, it often brings out your best. Think about deadlines. How many times have you waited until the last minute, only to produce in a few hours what had eluded you for weeks? The work wasn't impossible before. It was the pressure that forced your action. Most people, however, wait for life to impose pressure, deadlines, emergencies, consequences, before they move. True discipline begins when you learn to create that pressure for yourself. Comfort has no urgency. It convinces you that tomorrow is just as good as today and that nothing terrible will happen if you delay. Pressure, on the other hand, creates urgency. It tells you the time to act is now. When you apply pressure correctly, you leave no room for comfort to slow you down. Action becomes inevitable. There are many ways to generate pressure. Accountability. Share your goals with someone. When you commit publicly, you feel the weight of expectation. Comfort loses its grip because you now have a reason beyond yourself to act. Deadlines. A goal without a deadline is a wish. Comfort stretches someday into months or years. Set a firm date. Even better, shorten it. Compressed timelines force focus, cut distractions, and accelerate growth. Financial investment. Money creates commitment. Pay for a class, buy equipment, or invest in an opportunity. When something is at stake, you are far less likely to delay. Raising standards. Accepting mediocrity gives comfort free rein, but demanding more of yourself introduces pressure to perform at a higher level. High standards don't mean perfection, they mean refusing to settle. They push you to act seriously even when you don't feel motivated. Visualizing consequences. Picture what your life will look like if you always choose comfort over effort. Wasted time, lost opportunities, years of regret. Seeing it clearly creates emotional pressure stronger than any fleeting motivation. Pressure is not stress for the sake of stress. It is the force that makes discipline the natural response. Comfort will always try to slow you down, but pressure ensures action happens before delay can take hold. Over time, this habit builds resilience. You train yourself to act even when comfort calls the loudest. Use pressure especially in moments of weakness. When you feel yourself leaning toward ease, stop and speak to yourself with authority. Do it now. No delay. That firmness creates immediate pressure, leaving no room for negotiation. It pushes you forward exactly when comfort is most tempting. Without it, you slip back. With it, you build victories against ease. Another often overlooked source of pressure is responsibility. Responsibility to yourself and others compounds the urgency to act, making inaction increasingly uncomfortable. When others rely on you, comfort is not an option. Responsibility forces action. Consider parents who sacrifice for their children, employees who push through exhaustion to deliver results, or leaders who carry the weight of their teams. They don't always feel motivated, yet they act, because responsibility creates pressure that leaves no room for laziness. You can apply the same principle in your own life. Take on commitments that require your discipline. When someone depends on you, choosing comfort becomes harder, almost impossible. Comfort will never vanish. It will always tempt you to rest longer, delay your work, or ease off sooner. You cannot remove that pull, but you can overpower it with pressure. Comfort is gentle. Pressure is firm. Comfort whispers. Pressure commands. The voice you obey determines the direction of your life. To test yourself, deliberately create pressure. Set strict timelines. Remove the easy options. Announce your commitments publicly. Place yourself in situations where excuses are not allowed. Each time you do this, you strengthen the discipline muscle. You train yourself to act under pressure instead of shrinking from it. Over time, pressure stops feeling like stress. It becomes structure, a system that keeps you moving forward when comfort tries to pull you back. Some of your greatest achievements will come from situations where action is non-negotiable. Comfort has no power where pressure exists. If you lean on comfort, your life contracts. If you lean on pressure, your life expands. You grow stronger, more reliable, and more disciplined with every choice. Stop waiting for external forces to push you. Create your own pressure. Set firm deadlines. Declare your commitments. Attach value to your actions. Demand more from yourself than you currently do. Use responsibility to hold yourself accountable. Keep the cost of comfort in mind. Each of these tactics generates pressure that forces action. When comfort calls, tempting you to delay or choose ease, respond with pressure. Speak firmly to yourself. Action is required now. Move immediately. Prioritize progress over ease. Each repeated decision strengthens the disciplined life you are building. It is not easy, but it is possible. Every time you use pressure to overcome comfort, you prove to yourself that your potential is far greater than you imagined. Chapter 7. Build mental toughness by choosing effort. Over relief. Mental toughness is the ability to keep going when every part of you wants to stop. It is the strength to embrace effort rather than escape into comfort. Life constantly presents two paths. Choose effort and grow stronger, or choose relief and remain weak. The easy path tempts you every day, but if you always take it, you will never discover your true capacity. True toughness is not forged in comfort. It emerges in moments when effort feels heavy, resistance feels unbearable, and your instincts beg you to quit. In those moments, you have a choice: surrender to relief or push forward. Choosing relief teaches you that comfort matters more than progress. Pushing forward teaches you that effort defines you. Over time, these choices shape who you are. You either become someone who gives in to ease or someone who thrives under challenge. Most people underestimate how often they default to relief. They eat to soothe stress instead of confronting it. They check their phones to avoid difficult work. They stop short of finishing tasks because effort feels uncomfortable. Each of these moments may seem small, but they accumulate. That pattern either builds weakness or cultivates toughness. The mind adapts to what you feed it. Choosing effort means refusing to flee from discomfort. It means accepting that growth comes with struggle, strength requires sacrifice, and progress rarely feels easy. Yet here's the truth. The discomfort of effort is temporary, while the weakness that comes from giving in to relief lasts far longer. When you push through and finish the work, the pain fades, but the reward stays. When you surrender to relief, the comfort is fleeting and the regret lingers. Mental toughness is about training yourself to prioritize long-term gains over short-term ease. Discipline begins with recognizing the clever traps of relief. Relief always presents itself as harmless. It says you deserve a break, that a short rest won't hurt, that the task can wait. But once you accept it, relief multiplies. A few minutes of delay becomes hours wasted. A skipped effort becomes days or weeks of neglect. The danger isn't in one choice, it's in the pattern it creates. Each time you allow relief to dictate your actions, you weaken your ability to choose effort next time. That is why rejecting false relief must be uncompromising. Building mental toughness starts with small, manageable acts of effort. You don't need to begin with the hardest challenge. Complete your workout without cutting it short. Finish your task before checking your phone. Stay focused for a set period without distraction. Each small victory strengthens your tolerance for effort. It sends a clear message to your mind: you can endure discomfort. The more consistently you do this, the tougher you become. As your strength grows, begin deliberately seeking effort. Take the stairs instead of the elevator. Stick with a problem instead of quitting when it gets difficult. Finish what you start, even when your instincts urge you to abandon it. Each deliberate choice builds resilience. Mental toughness isn't a gift, it's a habit, created by consistently choosing effort over relief. Another crucial aspect of toughness is self-respect. Choosing effort proves you can be trusted to follow through. That trust fosters pride, and pride fuels confidence. But when you choose relief, you lose respect for yourself. Comfort may feel good momentarily, but later it leaves disappointment. That disappointment erodes confidence and fuels self-doubt. The only way to rebuild trust is through repeated effort. Every time you push past comfort, you reclaim your self-respect. Mental toughness also requires patience. Relief looks appealing because it offers immediate comfort, while effort demands persistence before results appear. You may work weeks or months before seeing meaningful progress. This is where many quit. They cannot endure the gap between effort and reward. Disciplined individuals understand that patience is part of the process. Every day of effort lays a brick in the foundation. They trust that consistent action will eventually yield results, which enables them to choose effort even when relief calls loudly. A practical way to cultivate toughness is by setting unbreakable personal rules. Decide that you will not sleep before completing your daily target. Decide that you will not stop halfway through a task. These rules act as anchors. When relief tempts you, your standards remind you of the path you've committed to. Strict personal rules create pressure that keeps you aligned with effort. Without them, excuses become easy. Remember, effort always feels hardest at the beginning. The first minutes are heavy, where most people surrender. But once you push past that initial resistance, your body and mind adjust, and the work becomes manageable. Repeating this process grows toughness naturally. Discipline also grows when you stop seeing effort as punishment and start seeing it as training. Effort is not a penalty for weakness. It is the path to strength. Every tough task is a workout for your mind. Every uncomfortable moment is training for resilience. When you adopt this perspective, effort stops feeling like punishment and becomes a tool that strengthens you. This shift in mindset is crucial People who see effort as a burden avoid it. People who see effort as training welcome it. Temporary relief may feel good, but it builds nothing. True character is forged only in effort. When you keep going despite fatigue, you grow. When you act despite fear, you grow. When you resist quitting and finish what you started, you grow. These moments define mental toughness. They distinguish the disciplined from the undisciplined, the achievers from the average. And every person has access to them. The difference lies in whether you choose effort or relief. To cultivate toughness, seek challenges intentionally. Don't always wait for life to force difficulty upon you. Create it yourself. Wake up earlier than you want. Push yourself to practice longer. Hold yourself to higher standards when no one is watching. Voluntarily embracing effort makes you stronger. So, when life imposes pressure, you're ready. The more you train under self-imposed effort, the less likely you are to break when real challenges appear. Over time, you will recognize that effort is what gives life meaning. Relief is fleeting and empty. It creates nothing. Effort, on the other hand, produces results, builds skills, instills confidence, and leaves a legacy. When you look back, pride comes not from comfort, but from the moments you chose effort and proved your strength. That pride endures far longer than any temporary relief. From this day forward, pay attention to your daily choices. When comfort tempts you toward ease, ask yourself, which choice will make me stronger? Which path will make me proud later? Which action builds my discipline? The answer will almost always be effort. Decide quickly. Don't give relief a chance to argue. Take the harder road. That is how toughness is forged. Over weeks and months, you'll notice the difference. Tasks that once felt daunting become manageable. Challenges that once overwhelmed you feel conquerable. You carry yourself with quiet confidence, knowing you can rely on your own strength. This transformation doesn't come from reading or wishing. It comes from consistently choosing effort over comfort. This is the law of mental toughness. Every time you choose effort over relief, you grow stronger. Every time you choose relief over effort, you grow weaker. The choice is yours. When effort becomes your default, discipline stops being a struggle and becomes a natural part of life. Chapter 8. Fight impulses by focusing on long-term consequences. Impulses are sudden urges that pull you toward comfort, distraction, or instant gratification. They appear unexpectedly and, if followed, lead you away from discipline. You feel the urge to skip your workout, eat something unhealthy, delay your work, or quit before finishing. In the moment, these impulses seem harmless, even justified. The truth is, impulses are traps. They offer temporary relief but create lasting consequences. Every choice carries a cost. Impulses blind you to the long-term effects, convincing you to focus only on the present. Sugary food feels good now, skipped workouts feel easier now, delayed tasks feel lighter now, but tomorrow you feel weaker, behind, and burdened by regret. That regret is the hidden pain impulses never reveal. The key to overcoming impulses is pausing and imagining the future. Visualize clearly the cost of giving in. Recall times when you surrendered to an impulse. How did it feel afterward? Did the comfort last, or did it fade quickly, leaving guilt and disappointment? The fleeting reward of an impulse is always shorter than the lasting regret. That regret lingers, grows, and weighs on you over time. When you recognize this truth, impulses reveal themselves for what they really are: short-term thieves stealing your long-term strength. Discipline is about training your mind to look beyond the immediate moment. Anyone can choose what feels good now, but the disciplined person chooses based on the impact tomorrow. That ability is what separates growth from stagnation. If you constantly give in to impulses, life becomes a cycle of starting and stopping, motivated one day, defeated the next. But when you confront impulses by focusing on long-term consequences, you begin to break the cycle and take control of yourself. One of the most powerful tools for this is visualization. When an urge arises, don't only imagine the temporary comfort it offers. Picture the pain that follows. Imagine how you'll feel if you surrender, seeing no progress in the mirror because you skipped again, facing the stress of unfinished work piling up, realizing the opportunities lost because you quit once more. Let those images become vivid. That emotional foresight cuts through the false pleasure of the impulse. You must also remember that impulses are temporary. They feel urgent and overwhelming, but if you resist, they pass. Most people never wait them out. They obey the urge immediately. But if you pause, remind yourself of the long-term cost and hold your ground, the impulse weakens. Every moment you resist builds strength. Every victory against the urge builds confidence. Over time, impulses lose their grip on you. Fighting impulses also requires awareness. Notice the situations that trigger them when you're tired, stressed, or bored. If you don't identify these triggers, you'll keep falling into the same traps. Once you know them, you can prepare and respond intentionally, armed with the clarity of long-term vision. It helps to replace the impulse with a stronger, constructive action. If you feel the urge to skip work, start with a small part of it immediately. If you crave unhealthy food, drink water first. If you feel drawn to endless scrolling, take a short walk instead. Redirecting the energy weakens the impulse and trains your brain to respond differently. Over time, urges no longer control you. They become opportunities to act. The cost of living by impulses is high. One skipped workout may seem minor, but repeated surrender erodes strength. One delayed task is small, but repeated delays build a life of missed opportunities. Every person living with regret today is someone who once gave in to impulses yesterday. That is the reality you must keep in mind when the urge strikes. Understand this. Impulses will never disappear completely. The goal is not to eliminate them, but to control them. You win by creating a gap between the urge and the action. That pause is where your power lies, the moment where you choose discipline over regret. Each time you hold that pause, your mental strength grows. At first it feels exhausting, but with practice, resisting impulses becomes automatic. You begin to recognize them and dismiss them quickly, gaining mastery over yourself. Pride grows, not just from your achievements, but from what you no longer surrender to. That pride fuels even greater discipline. Another strategy is to shift your perspective on pain. Most people flee from it, but discipline requires facing it. The pain of effort is temporary, the pain of regret is lasting. When an impulse arises, ask yourself, which pain will I choose? Acting on the impulse brings long-term pain. Resisting it and enduring discomfort brings short-term pain that serves you. Discipline is consistently choosing the pain that strengthens, not the one that destroys. Finally, remind yourself of the life you want to live. Do you want to be someone who obeys every impulse or someone who controls them? Do you want to look back with pride or regret? Impulses only care about the present. You must care about tomorrow. Your vision, the bigger picture, gives you the strength to resist temporary relief. Over time, your ability to fight impulses becomes one of your greatest strengths. You learn to trust yourself completely. Every choice to resist reinforces your discipline, shaping a life defined by intentional action, not fleeting desires. You know that when an urge arises, you will not be its prisoner. You will see it clearly, recognize it for what it is, and remind yourself of the pain it brings. Then you will make the stronger choice. The trust in yourself gives freedom. It allows you to focus completely on what truly matters because you are no longer controlled by fleeting impulses. Discipline is the skill of making choices based on long-term vision rather than momentary desire. Impulses will always try to blind you to that vision. They will tempt you back into instant comfort. But when you counter them with the awareness of the long-term consequences, you strip away their power. You create a space between the impulse and your action. That space is where discipline exists. From now on, commit to never acting blindly on impulses. When temptation appears, pause. Consider the cost it will carry tomorrow. Let the weight of that future pain outweigh the fleeting comfort of the present. Then act according to your higher standard, not your lower desire. Each time you do this, you strengthen your discipline. Each time you resist, you prove that your future matters more than your impulses. The disciplined life is not built on perfect conditions or endless motivation. It is built one victory over impulse at a time. It is forged by consistently choosing effort over regret, vision over comfort, discipline over weakness. And it begins with one essential skill: the ability to fight impulses by remembering the long-term cost they bring. That awareness becomes both a shield against regret and a tool for building your strongest self. Chapter 9. Direct your energy toward what truly matters. Every day, each of us wakes up with a limited amount of energy. That energy can either build a meaningful life or be drained by distractions that lead nowhere. Discipline is not just about action, it's about purposeful action. Without focus, you can work tirelessly and still feel empty because your energy was scattered on things that made no real impact. A disciplined life is measured not by busyness, but by progress in the areas that shape your future. Most people feel exhausted yet unfulfilled because they spread themselves too thin. They respond to every message, scroll endlessly, worry about opinions, or chase tasks that feel urgent but are inconsequential. By day's end, they are drained, yet nothing of lasting value has been created. That is the trap of undirected energy. Effort without focus is wasted effort. Discipline begins by saying no to the trivial and yes only to the essential. The first step is clarity. You must define what truly matters. Without clarity, your attention is pulled in every direction by demands, temptations, and distractions. Ask yourself, what are the few actions in my life that produce the greatest results? Which steps move me closer to health, growth, stability, or freedom? The answers will differ for everyone, but each person must define them. Once you are clear, your discipline is to align your energy only with those priorities. The noise of daily life will always try to steal your focus. Every notification, invitation, and request pulls at your attention. If you do not protect your focus, the world will decide where your energy goes, and it will rarely guide you toward your highest priorities. That is why deliberate focus is essential. One of the most effective strategies is to identify your top 3 tasks each day, the actions that truly matter, and commit to completing them before anything else. These are not errands, busy work, or distractions. These are the tasks that move you forward toward your long-term goals. Protect your energy, direct it intentionally, and let each day count toward building the life you want. When you dedicate your energy to the most important tasks first, you ensure that no matter what else happens during the day, real progress is made where it counts. Too many people fill their mornings with small distractions and then wonder why they have no energy left for the work that truly matters. Discipline means reversing that pattern, tackling the essential work first and leaving the trivial for later, or letting it go entirely. Another key to directing your energy is setting clear boundaries. Discipline isn't just about what you do, it's also about what you refuse to do. Every time you say yes to something insignificant, you are saying no to something meaningful. When you allow constant interruptions or agree to obligations that do not serve your goals, you are giving away your energy. True discipline requires the courage to say no firmly and without guilt. That no protects your focus and preserves your energy for the tasks that shape your future. You must also learn to recognize false productivity. Many activities feel productive but yield little real progress. Endless organizing, constantly checking emails, over-researching instead of taking action. These create the illusion of work while wasting your limited energy. The disciplined person constantly asks, "Is this moving me forward?" If the answer is no, they redirect immediately. This habit alone separates the truly productive from the perpetually busy. Directing your energy isn't limited to work. It applies to every part of life. Energy spent on arguments, negativity, or people-pleasing weakens your ability to grow. Energy invested in learning, health, meaningful relationships, and skill building strengthens your life. Discipline lies in choosing where your attention goes and ruthlessly cutting out what drains you without return. Managing your peak energy is another essential practice. Everyone has hours in the day when they are at their sharpest. For some, it's morning. For others, later in the day. The disciplined person identifies these hours and reserves them for their most important work. They do not waste peak energy on trivial tasks and guard that time fiercely. Directing your best energy to your most meaningful work multiplies results and transforms productivity. It is equally important to track how your energy is spent. Many people have no idea how much time slips away in distractions, endless scrolling, gossip, or trivial entertainment, and then wonder why nothing changes. Honest tracking reveals where your discipline leaks. Each time you notice yourself drifting, remind yourself, this is not where my energy belongs, and redirect it to what truly matters. Directing your energy also requires courage because it often means disappointing others. People will constantly demand your attention for things that benefit them, not you. If you cannot stand firm, you will perpetually give away your energy. Discipline is not selfishness. It is intentionality. If you do not protect your energy, you cannot build the life you want. And when energy is wasted, the consequences fall on you alone. There's a deeper reason to master this skill. Life is short. Every day spent on meaningless tasks is a day you cannot reclaim. Many people realize too late that years were spent chasing things of no consequence, leaving them with little of value. Discipline prevents that regret. It ensures your time, focus, and effort are invested in building something lasting. To apply this principle, list your top 5 priorities, then compare everything you do against that list. If an action serves a priority, it deserves your energy. If not, minimize or eliminate it. This is how you cut through the noise and live with direction. The disciplined life isn't about doing everything, it's about consistently doing the right things. Over time, directing your energy becomes second nature. At first, you must consciously remind yourself, pause before saying yes, and resist the urge to chase the urgent but unimportant. Eventually, focus on what truly matters becomes automatic. That habit builds momentum, and with momentum, your progress accelerates. You see results faster, not because you work harder, but because you work smarter. The people who accomplish the most are not necessarily those who work the longest hours. They are the ones who channel their energy with precision. They understand their priorities and give their full focus to them. They ignore distractions, safeguard their concentration, and invest only in what drives growth. That is the true secret. Not endless effort, but deliberate effort directed at what truly matters. From this moment, challenge yourself to observe where your energy goes. Ask yourself regularly, is this building the life I want? Is this moving me closer to my goals, or is it draining me? Then make the disciplined choice. Devote your energy exclusively to the tasks that have real impact. Eliminate what is meaningless. Protect your focus. Watch how your life transforms when every ounce of energy contributes to progress rather than being wasted on distractions. Chapter 10. Train your mind to act without waiting for motivation. Motivation is fleeting. Feelings are unreliable. They rise and fall without warning. One day you feel unstoppable, the next you can barely get yourself moving. If you base your actions on waiting for motivation, consistency will always elude you. You will only act when conditions feel favorable and retreat the moment they don't. Discipline demands something stronger than motivation. It requires training your mind to act regardless of how you feel. This is what separates dreamers from achievers. The truth is that action does not depend on motivation. Action generates its own energy. Many people have this backwards. They wait for inspiration to appear before starting a project, going to the gym, or changing a habit. But inspiration usually arrives after the first step has already been taken. Momentum comes from movement itself, not from feelings. Conditioning your mind to act means removing choice from the equation. Once you decide a task must be done, You act because it is required, not because you feel like it. Just as a soldier doesn't debate whether to train or a pilot doesn't question checking the aircraft, you create rules for yourself that are independent of moods. You act because your mind has been trained to obey the decision, not the feeling. One of the most effective ways to build this conditioning is through non-negotiables. These are commitments you carry out every day without exception. It could be writing a set number of words, exercising for a fixed time, or dedicating part of the day to focused work. By performing these actions consistently, your brain learns to make them automatic. You no longer debate whether to start in the morning. The habit takes over. This is true conditioning. Start small. Do not overwhelm yourself by trying to change everything at once. Pick one area where you will remove the need for motivation and commit to it daily. At first, your mind will resist. Comfort will scream and laziness will fight back. But every time you act despite that resistance, you weaken laziness and strengthen discipline. Over time, what once felt forced becomes natural. Repetition transforms resistance into habit, and your mind becomes conditioned to act. Another key aspect is shortening the gap between decision and action. The longer you wait after deciding to act, the more room you give excuses to appear. If you decide to exercise, start immediately. If you decide to write, begin without delay. Action thrives on immediacy. Hesitation feeds resistance. If you decide to study, pick up the book immediately. Waiting fuels hesitation, and hesitation erodes discipline. Taking action right away, even in small steps, cements the decision. Your mind begins to learn that when you decide, you move, every time. Repeating this pattern rewires your behavior until immediate action becomes automatic. It also helps to rethink motivation. Stop waiting for it. Treat it as a bonus instead. When it's there, use it. When it's not, act anyway. Don't let motivation control you. If you wake up inspired, channel that energy. If you wake up drained, act regardless. Living by this rule frees you from the unpredictability of feelings. You operate on a higher standard, discipline. Another powerful approach is to tie your actions to your identity. Stop saying, "I need motivation to do this." Say, "I am the kind of person who does this." When discipline becomes part of who you are rather than how you feel, your actions become consistent. Acting daily without waiting for motivation becomes natural. Identity-driven discipline is far stronger than feeling-driven discipline. Expect resistance. Your mind will challenge you. It will suggest delaying, remind you of fatigue, or magnify the effort required. This pushback is normal. The goal is not to eliminate it, but to act in spite of it. Each time you do, you prove to yourself that you are stronger than resistance. That proof builds confidence, and confidence strengthens discipline. Learn to embrace discomfort. Most people avoid action until it feels pleasant. Conditioning is about proving you can act even when it feels difficult. You can write when creativity is absent, train when your body is heavy, or study when your mind is restless. Each act teaches a vital truth. Your feelings don't lead, you do. That understanding changes how you live. Structure reinforces conditioning. Without routines, you leave room for indecision. With clear routines, your brain shifts into action automatically. Wake up consistently, start work at a set time, and end your day with a ritual. Habits replace choice, and automatic actions strengthen discipline. The fewer decisions you leave to feelings, the stronger your self-control becomes. Consider those you admire for their achievements. Did they feel motivated every day? No, they acted because they trained themselves to move regardless of emotion. They knew the work must be done whether they felt like it or not. That is how consistency is built. It is not a product of inspiration, it is a product of conditioning. Relying on motivation comes at a cost. Every delay wastes time, slows progress, and erodes trust in yourself. Each postponement reinforces the false belief that you can't act without the right mood. That belief grows until you feel powerless. Conversely, each action taken without motivation strengthens the belief that you are in control. Over time, acting without waiting becomes second nature. That is the path to freedom. From this day forward, stop letting feelings dictate your life. Train yourself to act from commitment. Repeat actions daily until they become automatic. Close the gap between decision and movement. Create non-negotiable standards. Embrace discomfort. Treat motivation as optional, not necessary. Build your identity around discipline, not emotion. Master these principles and your mind becomes unstoppable. You no longer wait for inspiration. You no longer waste time because motivation is absent. You act with certainty, knowing that no matter the circumstances, action will happen. That certainty forms the foundation of discipline, progress, and a life of true strength.